Rightio, we're back for another week, and it is bright sunshine. Daniel's just opened his curtain. Daniel Hibberd and Toby McKinnon. Daniel, firstly, welcome.
Hello, Paul. It is a bit of a stinker out there at the moment. This weekend's been very hot, so we're trying to stay as cool as possible.
Toby, how are you going? You're out in the sunshine by the looks?
Yeah, out on the deck at my mum's, Paul, with the backdrop of the trees and the sky, and it's not too bad here, actually, in the Yarra Valley. It's probably only 32, 33, something like that.
Yeah, that's a difference. I'm going to actually check right now, Daniel, just what it is here in Bendigo. It was meant to be close to the 40th, 37 as we speak, so pretty warm one, but to be expected. How was your week, Tobes? How'd you go with the photos? Did you see some nice types around on the APTS trotting sales?
Yeah, terrific, Paul. I spent 2 days in the company of Stu McCormick. Most people know him, the photographer from Melton, and we went around and captured nearly all the yearlings that are in the Australian Premier Trotting Sale, and yeah, there was some magnificent types amongst them. Hell of a lot of nice fillies. So I know there's a bit of a trend. The fillies don't do much in the paddock compared to the colts. They always come in a little bit better, if you know what I mean, at first, but the colts will fill out over the coming weeks. But yeah, there's some just beautiful fillies everywhere we went. There was lovely fillies at Doreen there at Homestead Farms for Rachel Benz, a beautiful filly there, and another one, Gerald Uren's got a magnificent Sebastian K. Pauline Thompson's got a couple of very nice fillies. There was another one up at Dunroman Standardbreds. Unbelievable horse, Paul. I've never seen a quieter yearling in all my life. She led it out to the paddock. She opened the gate. She shut the gate, and the horse said, "Thank you," afterwards. Fair dinkum.
Got better manners than you, Tobes.
It was unbelievable. We stood it up, and Stu's very particular in getting him in the exact position. She stood it up, and she tapped it on its off-board and get it to move it back 6 inches, and it moved it back 5. She said, no, 6 inches would be better, so it moved it back another inch, and then he took the photo.
I'm tipping yourself and Stu had a great conversation because for those who aren't aware, Stu is a bike riding tragic, and you've been a running tragic. I'm sure you had some very healthy discussions, I would imagine, about exercise and your training routines, I would imagine.
Paul, if talking crap was an Olympic sport, I'd be a household name, let's face it. So there was a fair bit of chatter going on along the way. So my role, I had a little noise of a horse making a neigh. So just when they got standing in the right position, I was on a 22.5 degree angle to their head, and I'd let the neigh, this recorded neigh, go, and that gets them to prick their ears up and look in that direction. And then in between, I'd be driving from place to place to give Stu a chance to quickly download the photos, because the paranoia there is you leave a farm and for whatever reason the camera lost the photos, that'd be a disaster.
I understand his paranoia. Don't worry, you always panic when you finish. Sometimes I don't check the audio on this before we start, and it worries us. Just for the record, mate, on Loose Lines, I think we'd be a podium finish with the three of us. I don't think you've got that gold medal necessarily for your taking. Okay, it is well and truly up for dispute with the three of us, and we've got plenty of friends. Don't worry about that. So it's all good. Daniel, you had a hot day Friday, mate. You went from Cobram to Albury just for something different to do. You right there, Topes?
Yeah, just for something different. Yeah, it was a big, very hot day there at Cobram on Friday. Glad that we started early. It was only a 7-race card, which was probably a good thing, to be fair. So we had all the big bonus races on Friday for the VHRC. Good to see that we gave away plenty of extra cash and vouchers there on Friday. And then, 3 o'clock the last race, and then in the car and off to Albury to do the on-course calling there for the club on their Friday night meeting. And to say it was uncomfortable in the box for the first couple of hours was probably not telling the whole story. It was a pretty rough first 4 races, but the last 4 were pretty comfortable by 10 o'clock at night. It was all right. And then, home about midnight, and then up to Denny yesterday to play a bit of cricket. And, we got more heat up there yesterday.
You can have that cricket to yourself. And we've got, stay tuned a bit later on, Daniel's cricket team actually is coming up. It's quite good, actually. I was very impressed with some of the selections. I think the 12th man probably feels a little bit robbed, though, but I don't think he could do much more, and he can only get 12th man. I think that's a bit harsh. But anyway, we won't divulge those until a little bit later on. Just quickly, for participants out there who may not be aware, that VHRC, just young trainers, it's a one-off payment for your trainer's bonus. I understand people could say, oh, they can't afford it for the horse bonuses and they got to pay up for each individual horse and all the rest. I think it's a great scheme. Young trainers, it's a no-brainer. You should just pay up. If you win one race, it pays for itself. Well, you make money, actually. I think you get 500 if you win one race. But if you can win 2 or 3 of those races through the season, it's a no-brainer. So I think, if you're out there and you're not sure of what it actually is, get in touch with the VHRC because, definitely that part of it. I like the whole scheme, but I can understand there's twos and fros from other participants. Sorry, Daniel?
Yeah, there was a few there on Friday that, were horses were paid up, and which was great to see. There was a couple. Gary Donaldson from Bendigo came up, and he said I had to take a few photos of the ones that won on the day, and he said, purely the reason they were there was that extra incentive, and they took Roxanne Pets there, and they were pretty confident they could win anyway. So if they thought they were good, he said I could have raced the Bendigo and won, but he said this was this was the extra incentive to come to Cobram, and it's paid off. So he was really happy, and Luke Stapleton's horse, which Alex Ashford had taken to Cobram, I went round there to take the photo, and Alex said, "Oh, is this paid up?" And I said, "Yep, it's all paid up." So and he said, "Well done to Luke because it's a smart thing to do." He's a trainer; he's paid up for the trainer and the horse, and it's easy money. It is really easy money.
Great to see Lukey celebrating his 40th birthday the other day too. So he's had a good week, Lukey has, that's for sure. All right, Daniel, we will keep rolling on with you, actually, mate. We're going to cover off on the Ballarat Cup last night. Awesome night. It was nice to be sitting in underneath the air-conditioned comfort, though. Although I think at Ballarat it possibly wasn't as tiring, mate. But I think we might start off with Artie, if you like, and the Ballarat Cup. It was a comprehensive win. I've got this video, going to roll a video for the last lap, which only takes about 52 seconds, I believe. But really comprehensive victory. David Moran, just dictated the race, didn't he? He just really controlled it and dictated the race to his nicety.
Yeah, it was. I actually had a chat. I did get to have a chat to David at Cobram on Friday afternoon, and I just sort of, with Hurricane Harley and everything coming out, and I said to him, I actually did say to him, I said, I don't think you need to really lead to win the race. I think if something does want to keep you out, which out to play obviously did. I said, you can just control the race from the death seat. I said, no one's going to come around and annoy you. You can just do whatever you like there and you'll be fine. And he nodded his head, and I think he knew that was sort of a good plan to have. And that's essentially how the race set out. Out to play, obviously, keeping the front. And, David was, quite content to sit outside, and they didn't go all that hard. And then, obviously, they've absolutely smashed the clock. And essentially, the whole field basically smashed the clock for the last 800 metres. But the only query, I guess, with Artie is that home turn. He's done it a couple of times. He just doesn't quite get round that last 30 metres or so of the home turn as neatly as you'd like. Once he gets balanced and he's, the 10 or 15 metres into the straight, he's pretty good, and he just kicked away. But he just looked as if he was sort of, just wobbles around that turn a little bit. But he was dominant last night, and he'll be a racing favourite for the Hunter Cup now. It just depends, obviously, if he draws the front row, he's going to be very, very hard to beat. If he draws the second row and King of Swing or something draws a decent barrier, it might make it a little bit more interesting. But on the whole, you can't do any more than what he's doing at the moment. He's just dominating the feature racing and doing it really easily, which is the scary thing about it.
Interesting there. Last week I alluded that he might have run up the track a little bit too much at Shepparton. He had a burr on his offside. Ballarat's last bend can be tricky for some horses. Some horses absolutely love the track, and it can be a little bit tricky. So that burr on the offside, running good time, just might have got him turning his head the other way just a little bit too much. He was a lot straighter up the straight, but may have affected that last turn, Daniel. So, so that could have been definitely one of them. And Toby's got something.
What's a burr on the offside?
rain burr. So they put a rain burr just to straighten him up. So just an offside rein just to straighten him up. I didn't know before the race. I only just noticed it then as Daniel was talking about it. I thought, oh, there's a change of gear just to straighten him up and the rest. Ballarat, it's got no sprint lane, but it is a unique home turn. Some horses do struggle around that home turn. There's some, and there's others that absolutely thrive on it. It is definitely a unique track. I think Fear Not, before I go to you, Toby, has won majority of her races there. She loves it, and she was a good run in the other race we're going to feature in a minute. Yes, Tobes?
Can Marie put one on you? To straighten you up a bit?
You mean to say I had to stop my intellectual comment for that? You're going to take P1, that's for sure, today after that comment.
We can do a straw poll on whether that was an intellectual comment or not.
No, I think it was crap. What I was going to say, I'm going to have a little chip just at a few people, and social media is a great thing.
Really?
I love social media. I have no worries at all. But I just, people like to, I suppose, try to be the first, if you like, and have a crack. And Matt Jackson, one person, and I like Matt, and I think what he does on social media is really, really good. But when a champion wins like he does, why try to be the first to downplay the actual win on social media? Why not promote the horses, pump the horses up, and let that do it? What Jason Bonington did, getting everyone on course to clap him, that's what we should be doing. Instead of saying, oh, yeah, but he only dashed home, and trying to throw a negative on it. They do it all the same time. They've done it with Black Caviar. They've done it with Winks. Oh, who's she beaten? What's she beaten? She makes them look second rate. Lochinvar Up makes those horses look second rate. Great drive by Dave Moran. He dictated the race. And I just think, just cool your jets for a while. I know he's copped a fair barrage on Twitter from other people. I'm not there to say it, but I reckon just, 10-second rule. Walk away for 10 minutes, give yourself some time, and then say, yeah, you know what, that was a pretty good win. But it was within minutes of the Ballarat Cup going up, and I don't know why people have to try to be the first to have a breaking story sometimes, let the dust settle. And, yeah, well done to Dave Moran. He's as good as I've seen, that's for sure. He's a lovely, lovely horse. People say about the challenge, the battles with Ride High, Tobe, you nearly got him to Trotting. You would have nearly had that battle, but if he was in the form that he's in now, I reckon he might have made Ride High look a little bit second rate, that's for sure, because he is just a complete horse ride as we speak.
He's pretty good Ride High, Paul.
Yeah.
We'll never know. We'll just never know.
No, it is a pity, and you guys were so close, that's for sure. And, you tried your backsides to get it happening, and it would have just been brilliant to have happened, that's for sure. Daniel, the Cochran Cup, I suppose it was an interesting race to say the least, and it wasn't finished by the time they hit the line either.
Yeah, it was an interesting race. Certainly, essentially it boiled down to the last, 250 odd metres of the race, and the first part of it they went very slow. They 33 first quarter in a Group 2 race doesn't happen all that often. I wouldn't have thought, particularly in this sort of field. Red Hot Tooth and had led with Karen in the cart and just came up the track a little bit, rounding the home turn, and Zach was quick to eye off the run-up on the inside. And he's clipped a couple of marker pegs coming up the straight there. Now, there's obviously, as tends to happen with a lot of these incidents, some will say he's gone inside the pegs, others say he hasn't. And ultimately, the stewards found that he didn't go inside the pegs, and the all clear stood and they held the race. But look, watching the replay a few times, I don't think he could possibly overturn that result. I don't think he hit the pegs, but you couldn't definitively say that he's gone inside the pegs. And he hasn't. If he did, he's only gone in an inch, and he hasn't gone in a foot or 2 feet or anything like that. So it's not like he's gone right inside the marker line. And I think when you're dealing with small margins like that, it's pretty hard to overturn a result like that. Red Hot Tooth was certainly a bit unlucky not to hold on and win the prize there. If she had stayed on the pegs, I think it's a different result. But these things happen, and good luck to Zach and Robbie O'Connell. It's good to see that horse get another good win.
I think you'll find, Daniel, they weren't conclusive whether he did or didn't go inside the marker pegs. He didn't gain an advantage. So that's the difference, because it was a straight line. So, there was no disputing he did go inside one of them. You can clearly see it, but gaining that advantage. And maybe that's something they've got to look at, HRA, not HRV, but HRA implementing a rule a little bit like the galloping rule across the line. If you gallop across the line, you know you're going to be relegated if there's any horses near you. If you go inside a market peg, maybe the same rule. I don't know, but maybe something along those lines will just clear it up. If you know it, if you can see it there, people know. I saw Darren Hancock last night, boys. He drove a trotter against Tough Monarch, and it flicked into a pace with the last, I suppose, 10 metres of the race. He pulled it up to almost a walk to try and get it back trotting across the line because he knew what was going to happen. And, in the end, he ended up running last. So that rule has clearly worked because he wasn't in his right gate. So he grabbed hold and flicked him over and, it didn't work. So sometimes those rules, if they're black and white, it's so simple. So, it makes a big difference. Tobes has got some helpers there giving him a hand as well. And that is all welcome. Don't you worry about that, Tobes. We encourage that. This show is, what's Phil Crack say? It's random at its best. So, and I noticed Phil chimed in. We're about to go to some bit of correspondence with you, Tobes. I think that's what it's called. Oh, no. You've changed it up. You've changed it up off the run sheet. Luckily, I read that run sheet. But I think Phil's been chiming in a couple of times. Rightio, Tobes. I'm extremely nervous about this. Just for the record, I've been told I have 2 lines. It's approximately about 8 words I've got to say, but I am very, very nervous. And look at Daniel. He's winding the arms up. He's ready for this with a grin. So.
This is going to be fun.
So basically, Paul, I've plucked a role in a play. I just want to practice my lines. So I've got one line, then you know what your line is. It's just a one word, then I've got another line, and then you'll finish it off, all right?
I'm nervous.
So you ready to... I just want to rehearse it, Paul, and get it right so I get my lines right in the night. So it goes like this. Paul, while you were frozen, we began a program to clone you.
Cool.
He is exactly like you in every way, except 1/8 your size. Your line?
Breathtaking, I shall call him Mini-Me. Is that the best you could come up with? I don't even look like that. I've got a hat on, you peanut.
1/8 your size. That's Mini-Me. Can you put your hand up to your mouth on that, please?
You'd be happy to know, Tobes, I actually keep it just on file, the old lookalike that just keeps coming up every now and then just so I can get that one-upmanship going again. So, I'll give a bit of a shout-out actually to that one in a second. You are a peanut. You know that, don't you?
Oh, come on.
Just for the record, anyone out there, I had no idea what he was doing. He just said, these are your lines, and that is what you want to do.
1/8 your size, Paul.
Notables. We will start just... we don't have a lot of notables this week. We probably missed a couple. There's a couple we will throw in without the little added tiles, I think.
We've missed one, have we?
As we go.
Wonder what one we missed, man. The one we missed? I don't know.
I don't know.
You put that there? No, I'm happy not to bring that one. I'm more than happy not to bring that one up. Don't you worry about that. Lachlan Prothero, Tobes, got a double at Mildura. It was a good night at Mildura, actually, for a lot of people.
Yeah, Lockie's a young trainer, Paul. I don't know how old he'd be now. He'd be 20, 21, 22, something like that. Been training for 3 years. He trained 7 winners in 2018-19, his first year from 68 starters, a bit of a 1 in 10 strike rate, so 10%. Pretty good start, really. Then 31 out of 169 last year, and he's 2 from 6 this year already. So 243 starters for 40 winners, which is a 16% strike rate and 44% place. Like, it's only a small pool of horses at Mildura, but you look at the horses he had up there. Ian Raymond, who won on last Tuesday night. You know, Johnny Caudo had it for a while before that. Jardines had it. He's had it for 3 runs with 2 seconds and a first. And then Baby Ginny was the other one. It had 7 starts without being placed for Tony Bond. Heads up to Mildura. It's had 9 starts for Lockie for 3 wins. So he's getting horses. He's getting a return. And the thing that'll please Lockie the absolute most is he's halfway to getting past his dad, Andrew. Andrew only trained 80 winners. Lockie's already on 40, and he'd love to get past his dad, let me tell you.
Little goals. Some little goals are sweet, aren't they? That's for sure. So, well done to Lockie. We will might try and catch up with him at some stage and just have a bit of a chat with him, Tobes. One day we might try and do a Zoom hookup and give him a little bit of a pump up because, they're the stories. Like we said a couple of weeks ago with Darby McGuigan, we want to keep them in the sport. We don't want them to leave it, so give them as much of a pump up as we can. Daniel, these guys don't need any pump up at all. Sonia Smith and Anthony Butt. I've written treble doubles. I put an S on the end of the doubles because, I don't even know where the races are today. They might train 4 or 5. They're just on absolute fire, aren't they?
Well, I went back and actually did the numbers. But since the Bendigo Cup and the Cochran Cup weekend a couple of weeks ago, they've had, I thought it was 11, it might be 12, but they've had either 11 or 12 starters at the races and had 9 winners. So it's remarkable that the record that they had. So they had Cochran Cup with Perfect Stride, Bendigo Cup with Wolf Stride, obviously. Vivid Stride then won at Yarra Valley, and Equity Stride won at Melton on the Tuesday, and then they had the 5 winners over the last little bit, 3 at Ballarat and 2 at Melton. So it's an incredible strike rate that they've got going on the moment. I mean, it's out of this world. It's just near enough to perfection. I think if you actually go back through those 12 races, I think of the 2 that didn't win, I think at least one of them, might even be 2 of them, they had that horse was actually in the same race they won.
Yeah,
it's outrageous how good they've been going.
I think Daniel, that
Stride. Yep.
Sorry, I think that horse is Alpine Stride both times. I think it's been chased. It might have chased home either.
Pretty sure. Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah. So.
It's just remarkable that strike rate at the moment. Vivid Stride and Endeavour Stride for Zach they were both good wins at Melton the other night. Endeavour Stride won by an absolute pimple over High Claire, who headed it halfway up the straight and was able to kick back on the inside. And then Prestige Stride, Boots Electric and Perfect Stride last night at Ballarat. The times were crazy, 154.4, 153.2 and 155.7. The stable's absolutely flying, and obviously Perfect Stride's the one, and Wolf Stride obviously the 2 that are going super at the moment up in the higher grade. Perfect Stride obviously is going to go to the 4-year-old Bonanza, and it's going to be really hard to toss in that race. But look, yeah, absolutely, you could not find it. If you're working at the stable there at the moment, you'd be loving life because every time you go into the races, you're basically coming home with a winner.
I think Wolf Stride's going to the Bonanza too, according to Ants last night. So, yeah, he wanted. I think that's where he was heading with him as well. So, sorry, Tobes, were you waving or... Because my graphics, I have a banner right across it, but I just saw 2 fingers just popping up like a little bit of a mini-me. You were just waving?
Yeah, High Claire.
Okay. Getting himself into the good
box.
Yeah.
If you wanted to run a very successful fundraiser at the moment, it'd be in the harness racing industry, and you'd call it Send Butts Back to New South Wales. And I reckon every participant would put their hand in their pocket very, very quickly. They are absolutely flying. I think if we could, 9 of those starters, Daniel, were Metro starters for 6 wins. 9 Metro runners for 6 wins. Yep. That's just unfathomable.
I reckon keep them here. I think we're better off for it. Let New South Wales. I reckon New South Wales can have their own little laws what they like, but our racing's definitely better for it. And I think the other thing, guys, too. I don't know if you saw last night at the post race. Every strapper was involved. They had 3 different strappers with those horses. Every strapper was presented. They present their horses. It's next level stuff. It's where harness racing needs to go, and I think we've got to follow that lead a little bit. I love it. Absolutely love it. Next up is me. Sorry, Topes.
I was just going to say, I was only joking about that, Paul. I just don't want you to think Anthony's the butt of all my jokes.
I knew that was coming. I was waiting for it. I just knew it was coming at some stage.
Yeah. Yeah.
Brent Jewell is a trainer winner at Melton the other night, and I saw her face on the photos afterwards. I think a lot more clubs should be putting the photos of the winners. It's a face I hadn't seen. So I gave Mickey Bellman a ring, and he is Ronnie Jewell's son. They have a strange relationship, according to Mickey B. They don't talk in the cars to the races. They get to the races. Apparently, Ronnie won't shut up, annoys the hell out of Brent, get back in the car, and he shuts up. So Mick said they've got a very strange relationship. They get on like a house on fire. But hasn't been trained, only been training for a couple of years. He had the horse Noopy Enforcer Tobes just recently, and they retired it. Only trains 2 horses, and I just think well done to him for notching up a winner at Melton. And I like to see a new face. There were some great faces win at Melton the other night, but it was good to see young Brent Jewell training a winner, and hopefully he stays in the sport as well for a long, long time. Yes, mate, you had 2 fingers.
That was his second winner. He did win one with Noopy Enforcer. 78 starts, 2 wins, 10 placings. His dad's had 775 starts for 52. It's hard to read my own handwriting, but it's 52 wins, I think. So they've had a bit of success along the journey.
So, Daniel, just so you're aware, I rang Tobes and asked if he knew who he was and all the rest, and he goes, he's Tony Jewell's son. And I'm like, is he like the Richmond great? And he's like, no, I don't know. So then I rang the coveted number 7, Mickey B, and I said to him, is he related to Tony Jewell? And he goes, I don't know. And I told him what Toby goes, and he said, I don't know. So we're not sure. We're none the wiser. So it might be one of our quests, because if you haven't met Ronnie before, a lot of people may not have. He is the king of the handlebar mustache, and I know Tony Jewell was a bit fancy to a mustachio as well. So Ronnie's is bigger than that, Tobes. You're nearly scratching your ears. It's that bigger mow. It's one of the great mows of harness racing, that's for sure. Better than the silly ones that Josh Aiken and those guys try to bloody grow. They're disgraceful.
Have you seen the monkey tails that are kicking around?
The what? Oh, yeah.
They haven't shaved down here. They come down here and up and around like a monkey tail around your lip. That might be next week, Paul. What do you reckon?
Hello to Claire. I don't like your chances, mate. I know how much chance I'd have. 0. Tobes. I'll get a throw to Tobes while he's under pressure there behind. But Jack Law, mate, 5 winners at Mildura. He's had a great week, actually, young Jack, hasn't he?
Yeah, Jackie Laugher, he was laughing, wasn't he? He just kept driving winners. He had, 4, 7, 8 drives on the night for 5 winners. They weren't all favourites. One was 410. All different trainers, Reece Moore was one. Julie Douglas, he drove 1-4. Kate Hargraves. Rick Holmes, which isn't that a certain sort of a name? Rick Holmes, doesn't that conjure some images, Paul? And
he'd be a movie star, wouldn't he? Tobes?
He'd have to be something. That horse, Laser Major, actually owned the mother, Paul. Got it in foal and sold it in foal. So that win on Laser Major, so a horse I know a fair bit about, out of a mare called Aces and Sevens. Out of a mare called Virgin Goddess. It was in foal to Art Major. I originally tried to get it in foal to Aces and Sevens, but wouldn't get in foal, and then they gave me an Art Major service for the same price as an Aces and Sevens, so I sold her while she was in foal, so I'd get good value for her, and that's the progeny.
How many races has it won, Tobes?
3 or 4. It's been a battler. It's an 11-year-old, been around battling away, a bit like me, But Jackie's just flying. He's got the 3-point claim, and the Victorian leading drivers, Paul, James Herbertson 17, Jack Law 13, Chris Alford 13. Isn't that amazing?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And Jack's terrific last night, watching him be interviewed last night on Trot's Vision. He's very concise as to what he says. He knows, he's very articulate, he thinks about it and all the rest. He's done a good job. He got lost in the wilderness there for a while. He seems pretty settled. He's here in Bendigo now, and he seems pretty settled. He's got some good people around him and really looking after him. One of the people that's around him, fellow Tasmanian, pointed out to me at Bendigo the other night, Daniel, that they drove 7 of the 12 winners, the Tasmanians. He reckons the Tasmanians are settling Mildura. So Geordie Leadham, of course, is a Tasmanian, and so is the very cheeky Alex Ashwood. He was pretty cock-a-hoop about that. So, yeah, they're going good in Mildura, the Tassie boys, that's for sure. So,
I got some feedback, Paul, on the footy team as well, which was they were on their way up to Mildura, and Justin Bruin sent through to Jason Bonington when I was on SEN track Wednesday that Jaden Bruin should have been in the side. He'd won a couple of B&Fs. Alex Ashwood won a couple of B&Fs. Geordie Leedham won a couple of league B&Fs. And Jack Law was an eight-time water boy in grand final side. That was Jaden Bruin saying that, Jack. Jaden, and if you don't believe me, Jason Ponnington will have the message still.
Jackie wouldn't have been able to be the water boy for the seniors. He hasn't got enough meat on his bones to carry the water out for the seniors, I'm tipping, in some parts of Tasmania. So, yeah, no, actually, Jaden fancies himself. I did a little thing with him. If he wasn't a harness racing driver, what would he be? He reckons he'd be playing for the Adelaide Crows. So he has a bit of a head wobble about his football career. We might have to do some file footage and just see if he can actually kick it. He might not even be able to kick it. He's that cock-a-hoop about it. Nothing, Tobes. Daniel, last one of our structured notables. Anyway, James McPherson, you've got here Cobram and Albury. I saw he won the last at Cobram. Did he go to Albury as well?
He did go to Albury, and he won the first at Albury. So he's done a fair job to, as I had to do, get there from leave for the last and get there for the first. Loverboy won the last at Cobram and did a great job leading all the way. Dictated terms over the sprint trip, but still ran home in 55.8 its last half. But went 156.5 for the mile rate there. Nice horse, and they got a good win there on Friday. And then probably the best run of the pair was the second one, Stravinsky at Albury in the first. He's a lovely colt. He's only a 3-year-old. He's at 8 starts now for 4 wins. And he's a half the Rocky Creed, who obviously won the big race. Won the big race at Wagga. His run at Albury on Friday night was first up from a spell. He went 158.7 for the 21.70 trip. Now around Albury, that's basically running like a 53 half at Ballarat. Really, it was he looked the picture. He was absolutely beautiful in the run. He probably didn't beat a great deal in that field. There's a lot of older horses that have been running around for quite some time. But the way he did it, he's a lovely looking horse, and I'm sure they'll be looking at some good races for him over the next little while. And he's a nice type.
I noticed he drove in the first at Cobram as well, so he had a long day. He was there early all the way.
He did. Yeah, he had a couple of drives throughout the day. I think he drove Harry Ovens for David Kennedy and almost won that race as well. And then he had a heap of drives there at Albury as well. I've actually got it on the screen here. I don't know whether he drove in the last or not. He drove in the last, so he was there all night. So he drove Scully in the second last. He drove in the second last. He drove Scully in the second last to Peter Ramiro. So he's had a big day, and that's the first time I've done a double header at the Trots in a very long time as well.
The participants must love it when HRV and New South Wales get their heads together and put a meeting on at Cobram and Albury in the same day.
It is silly. To be fair, though, I think there was the COVID stuff sort of really threw it out of sync a bit. They probably should have spoken to each other and sort of organised it a bit better, but it just happened to be that they were both on the same day. We had 7 races, they had 8. To be fair, they were probably lucky to get 8 races at one point. Their nominations were very, very skinny, and the fields didn't come out till very late at Albury, so they actually must have been able to find a few more horses, and they managed to get pretty much each way betting in every race, which was good to see. But yeah, it was a bit different.
In case you're wondering, Toby, that was a backhander. If you weren't sure what that meant, that was all. Now he's got it. He's got it now. I totally agree. I think we try and pull from the same pool of horses. Just out of curiosity, Tobes, don't play that game. You're going to regret this because I just fixed it just completely. Mine wins every time.
I actually did that, Paul. It's a clone of you. 1/8 your size.
Where does James come from? Daniel, do you know?
Mrs. Mac.
He is over. He is over that way. He was actually having a chat with Cobram President Charlie Hewitt on Friday, and they were talking about properties and things like that. I didn't quite pick up where where he's at, but he's certainly over that Albury direction, but I couldn't tell you exactly where.
Well done to him.
It's something he's ticked off his bucket list, having a good chat with Charlie Hewitt. That is a once-in-a-lifetime experience, that, let me tell you.
Exactly.
Tobes, you had down there correspondence before.
Yeah, no, that was the play rehearsal, Paul. There was one more notable, Paul, that just for the people at home, we have this Google sheet and we keep updating it all week, you know, and I can see who logs in. Paul logs in every hour or so just to see if I've added anything to the notables list. Not on there. It's not on there. He's messaging me. Oh, is there any more notables? Are they all the notables? Are they all the ones you've got?
Hang on. Just for the record, I can't even drive the Google sheet. Now, in all fairness, if you're being brutally honest, I would be lucky if I log in once a day because I've got no idea how to steer it. So I'm more than happy to not cop that one, but that's okay. And you're more than happy to go with this.
Before we go to air, we've got all the notables. We've got them all, have we? We're all good. We're all set. Paul, there was one more notable. We've just been toying with you. Marie Campbell getting a double at Bendigo with Belittled and Lucinda Mack. Probably a greater effort with Lucinda Mack. I know you've had terrible trouble with her as a horse, and the stable's flying, really. What's that, 3 of your last 4 or 5 starters? You got a winner. So over to you. In all seriousness now, most of what I said before was BS, but it was a very good night for you to get a double. I thought Belittled was a near on certainty, and then on trial form, Lucinda Mack beat Son of a Trump, so she had to be a fair show as well. So hopefully bigger and better things are both going forward.
And just hope we can keep her at the races, Tobes, because she's a unique animal. What you see on the racetrack, she just looks like a nice racehorse and everything like that, but she's very random. It's actually funny, she has hormonal issues, as does Fear Not.
That's the horse, not Marie, you're talking about.
I can't believe you even interrupted me for that. You're in so much trouble after that one. But Bitey was just up from us, and I was talking to Lyndall and Glenn, and they were sort of saying good mood, and both horses were in a good mood. So I don't know what to make of that. They both were very well behaved the other night. So whether the weather was good for them or not, I'm not sure. But it was interesting anyway. But she was on her best behaviour. The one thing we were, a lot of people said to us about would have been great that if Kez had brought up her 4,000th win, we would have been over the moon with that. But Chris Alford drives Belittled, never does anything wrong. They're both two angry little men. They get along very, very well. They're very similar in their approach to life. I think those two horses, they like to cause as much trouble as they can, get on the racetrack, and they're all professionals. So that's the reason with Kez didn't get to drive both horses, but absolutely wrapped. It's a measure of the lady. She's about to drive her 4,000th winner, and she come all the way to Bendigo from Great Western to drive one horse. But yeah, she does like the mare, so it makes it a big difference. And 6 winners so far for the season. Tobe, the wife's had for 3 winners. I don't think we've missed Wayne in. I think 3 winners, a third, and 2 fourths. So it's been a good season so far. Won't keep happening, but that's okay.
So on a serious note, that stuff that people used to use to keep the mare's hormones in balance, you'll forgive me, it's been banned for 2 or 3 years.
Reggie Maid?
Yeah, if that was allowed, would that make a big difference for Lucinda Mack?
Yep, and not just Lucinda Mack. Like in my other job as a horse dentist, it's unbelievable the amount of people. I went to a place the other day where a guy has a 2-year-old filly that the other day stood in the track, just standing there weeing for 10 minutes before she decided to go. He trains horses on his own. He was stuck there by himself. Nothing he could do. 2-year-old filly. You can't use the stuff. So because you can't use it, that's where it's dangerous. Unfortunately, there was unscrupulous practices taken up by the stuff. They were doing it in a different way, but for just straight out what horses like, and not just Lucinda Mack, Fear Not. I'm sure if you talk, Claire talks to Chris Finozzi, I bet you he's got one mare there that everyone's got at least one. There's more than one around the place. So, yeah, so a lot of the time...
I've heard it from a hell of a lot of people, Paul, over the last 2 or 3 years, and I sort of ask those dummy questions sometimes just to get that explanation. You got to play that card. But, yeah, so I don't know what we can do about it, but we're losing horses from the racetrack and the racing environment because of it. So
It was
There
always
has to be some way.
so New South Wales Gallops can use it, and it was brought in because of Winks. And this is the importance of the stuff. One of the greatest mares going had to have that to race on, so she had to have that in her system to race. So if the stuff's a performance enhancer, what does that say against Winks? I'm not saying Winks is performance enhancing at all. I think it's just great that they were able to continue to be able to race her and keep her in that way. And the worry for me with a product like this, Tobes, is that some of these mares can turn feral. This mare of ours cleaned the shed out one night at Melton. Glenn Conroy jumped the fence. He told me the other day he's all about self-preservation because she came out of the stalls double barrelling with no card on. I was trying to take her to the box, and she just went to town. Someone will get hurt, and that's the other worry with it. If they're going to ban a horse, that might be a bit seasonal and ban them from racing, good luck with that too, because then they'll have no horses racing. So, it's a worry, but this product is there. It's legal. It's safe. But for some reason, the powers that be can't control it on a different form. So, they ban it. The easiest option for them is to ban it. So, I personally hate it, and especially when you've got a mare like her. Before I go to yours, Tobes, I will go to correspondence because we did actually have a little bit of correspondence. Emma Lydermore, I'm going to go with, Lydeamor. This was just on our Facebook post the other day. It was just off the photo, Tobes, that you took, I think you took anyway, of Jason Lee with the kids. And she just says here, that's our kids. Jason and a few of the other drivers were amazing with them. It's not easy to be, not easy being that swamped. And I think that was terrific feedback, and I appreciate your feedback there, Emma, because obviously, it makes it real, and it wasn't just Jason Lee that they were chasing or going after. But then Andrew Leadermore, that he's quite vocal on social media as well, actually said here, and it's legit, you can go to last week's show and read the correspondence. Even Toby stopped by and had a 10-minute chat with me. So well done, Tobes. You're doing your bit for promoting the sport. All jokes aside, well done, Tobes, well done, Jason Lee, and well done to all those other drivers. If Tobes had seen anyone else talking to those kids, I'm sure he would have taken those photos, but well done, because that's the sort of feedback I love getting. I mean, myself and Tobes have a bit of fun sometimes with some made-up stuff, but two people have taken the time, I'd say their husband and wife, taken the time to write it, and I think well done to them.
Yeah, I can probably shed a bit of light on that, Paul. Andrew's from Mount Gambier. He's got a couple of small shares in horses, one with Mick Gadsden, one with Clinton Welsh. He suffers from I think, don't quote me on it, I'm pretty sure it's multiple sclerosis.
Yep,
so he's wheelchair bound.
Yep.
They've got 5 kids. He's wheelchair bound. As some people would know, my father was in a wheelchair all his life. So to see someone in a wheelchair at the trots like that brings back a few memories for me. And I knew who he was, and I'd seen him on Twitter and thought I'd just go over and introduce myself and have a chat to him. So that's sort of how that came about on the day, and it was great to see all his kids there and the effort they must go to get even from Mount Gambier to Hamilton for a day of the trots, with him being in a wheelchair and the 5 kids to organise and everything. It brings back memories. I was just talking to my mum about it, stories back in the day where my dad took another touch to Adelaide with us 3 kids by himself, just for a race. He won the race. It was well worth doing, but I don't know how he managed 3 kids under 8 by himself when he couldn't even get out of the car at any stage.
Yeah, no, big effort. Anyway. And I have met Andrew before, as soon as you said the wheelchair part. Yep, I've definitely met Andrew. It was at Melton. He came out of his way to introduce himself. So well done to you guys. And please, any other correspondence, just leave it at the bottom of the Facebook pages, and we greatly appreciate that indeed. Tobes, we might go with your topic. I've lost me run sheet.
We've got
discussion. No, discussion points are next. It's up to the discussion points. I'm following the sheet. I even got it right, so it's all good. We're holding off on the cricket team to last. Don't worry about that. We're going to end with a bit of a bang, so it's all good.
So maybe Daniel's got an idea on the size finals and a point as well, but my idea on it, Paul, is that instead of having one size stakes final at the end of the year with semis and heats and you sort of got one chance at it, would be to split it up into 4 different $50,000 finals. So they'd be run after each, so quarterly, if you think about it. So at the end of March, so April 1st, June 1st, September 1st, and then December 31. So every quarter, then at the end of each quarter, the Victorian bred horses, 2-year-old colts, 2-year-old fillies, whatever it is, the top 12 prize money earners in that quarter, for the first quarter, go into the final. Very simple. And then if you miss that, say you were the 13th qualified, that prize money you've earned still accumulates to the next one. So then it's the top 12 prize money earners of the first 6 months, top 12 prize money earners of the first 9 months, and top 12 prize money earners of the year, with the one condition: if you've been in a final once, you're ineligible for the others. So that would then give 48 horses a run in a $50,000 size stakes final. So you get 4 winners of those races, you get 4 horses run second, 4 horses run third, and so on, and really spread it out. The other beauty about it is you might have a 2-year-old this year going really good in May, June, July, then something goes wrong with it and you're out of play for the size final. At least then you could run it around in the size stakes in that time when it's going well.
My problem with it is, Tobes, that the Victorian sire stakes was brought in to help the breeders. So to help the breeders get more value for their money for their horses. So as a 2-year-old, if you can only run for a $50,000 race, you're rocking up to the APTS sales or the APG or the nutrient sales coming forward just in the near future, and you're going to buy a horse and it's going to be eligible as a 2-year-old to run in a $50,000 race instead of a $150,000 race if it's the best. And I think that will downplay those horses' value, because effectively you're only going to get $25,000, because once they get above that certain, it's all right to say $50,000 race, it'll only be $25,000 to the winner. So how do you then turn around and tell a new investor or a new person coming into the sport, go and spend $40,000 on a yearling, we'll win one of the sires heats and you'll get a $25,000 return? That's my worry with it. I like the idea. Don't get me.
Amount of money, Paul.
No, but it's
the
not.
Same amount of money. Talking about the same amount. If I give you $100 note or 520s, what's the difference?
No, it's not the same amount of money, because you can only run for $50,000. That's all you can run for, and you can only get one crack at it.
But then you're saying the breeders, though, instead of one person getting $100,000 or $75,000, instead of one horse out of the whole yearling sales gets $75,000.
Yep.
This way, 4 horses get $25,000.
But Topes, when you go to the yearling sales, the breeders will be saying this horse can win the size final. There'll be 100 horses that can win the size final. I know only one can, but you can't. Well, you're going to downplay people's value. That's what it was brought in for, was to actually increase their value, the value of the horses. So at the sales, to help the breeders to be able to sell them and to bring investment in. Please, I love the idea, and maybe instead of the homegrown going the way that it does, because the homegrowns ran at the start of each year, it was brought in for horses that missed out on the sires. Maybe something like the homegrown could be on that same concept. Have it run over 4 quarters or something to that extent, but don't touch the sires. Leave the sires for what it actually is there for, which is to encourage people to breed to the best stallions that they can in Victoria, so that Victorian stallions stand in Victoria. You have your mares in Victoria, you raise them in Victoria. And that's why Victorian harness racing, that's why Sonia Smith and them are coming back, is all off the back of this. New South Wales breeders' schemes, they don't work. I mean, you can ring any of those guys there the way they do it. They don't work. No one likes it up there. No one likes the way New South Wales racing is going. The Vic bred scheme works, and for mine, you've got to have a pinnacle. You must have a top of the tree.
How many horses did Anthony Butt have in the Vic bred finals, Paul?
I don't know. I'm not that worried. How many horses did Emilio Stride have in the Vic bred? Emilio Rosati, have in the Vic bred finals? Probably 4 or 5. That's right. And he goes to the sales. And
I don't think Anthony Butt came back to Victoria for the Vic bred finals. I don't think he had one horse in him.
Well, he probably couldn't have because of COVID, but he actually did come back. He was actually back here, so I'm not worried about Anthony Butt. Just for the record, I'm not worried about Anthony Butt. I'm actually worried about Emilio Rossetti going to the sales, and once a horse gets to 30,000, he says, well, there's no value in this horse, and walks away. We need people to keep going, because what will happen is that if Jared Uren's that person that sells that horse, he makes more money. So I know what you're saying, you get 4 chances to win, but you actually don't. You only get 1 chance to win, and it's a $50,000 win, not the bigger one. So anyway, that's all right. I like the idea. I reckon something like that could work, but not to the actual Vicbred itself. I think leave the Vicbred as it is myself. That's my thoughts. So we're entitled to disagree, Tobes. We disagree more than we agree, okay? Nothing?
Yeah, what you're saying is, and I don't think you can see it, you'd rather a $100 note over 520s. I'd rather have 520s.
But you can't get 520s. You can only race for 120.
The $30,000 yearling's going to sell for more, Paul, because that yearling's got more chance of winning the winning one of those 4 finals. At the moment, the $120,000 yearling is going to go off and win the Vicbred final. So, and not many people got a chance of buying a yearling like that. This gives them an opportunity not only to win the final, but to run in a final. You're putting 48 horses in a $50,000 race, or $75,000 if they can get it to that. If you got rid of homegrown, you'd probably get it to $75,000. Anyway,
yeah.
But if you'd rather just one person wins and 11 and 12 in the final, that's fine.
I think you're missing what I'm saying.
I'm the battler. I'm after the battler, Paul, and the middle guy, not the big guy.
Tobes, just hang on a second. You're missing what I am saying. I didn't have any problem with your race idea, but you don't undersell the importance of Vicbred and what it's done to Victorian racing. That's the reality. And you keep saying you're after the little guy. You're actually after the trainer. You're not thinking about the breeder, the guy that might have that broodmare gem that's just started, a Gary Graham and those guys that are just starting to get horses that, well, Gary's had them for years. He goes to affordable stallions that stand in Victoria and they're worth more because they're eligible for that Vicbred bonus. So that's the thing. Don't just look at the trainers short term. You got to look at the whole picture. We need to get more investors in. We need $600,000 horses going through the sales, not one.
What's the Vicbred bonus got to do with this?
Not the Vicbred bonus, the Vicbred series. The Vicbred series is, yeah, I think it's very important. Plus the bonuses are as well, Tobes, but yeah. Sorry, and Daniel, now we're actually going to keep going with the Vicbred theme.
Yeah, it's just, I know I've probably gone on this tangent a few times over the last couple of episodes with regards to the calendar, but I think it is something that really needs to be looked at and really pressed home with the powers that be. And it was to do with the Vicbred finals on New Year's Eve. It was just a couple of chats that I had and conversations with a couple of drivers and trainers and so forth over the last little while. Maybe the 31st of December is not exactly the right date for it. It seems to, building up to those big final nights. The trainers and the drivers, or particularly the trainers, and those that have got young families, it's a really difficult time to sort of get their horses and everything, really ready and ramped up for that final on that New Year's Eve. And if you've got a young family, Christmas is a pretty important sort of time of the year to be spending time with the kids and that sort of thing. And it just maybe impacts that a little bit. I know from personal experience with the Cochran Cup when it was always on either the 27th or the 28th of December, it was an absolute nightmare to sort of get that meeting prepared and ready to go. So that's probably at the lower scale as compared to some of the trainers and drivers, preparing horses for races and that sort of thing, but it's along the similar line. So maybe, we might need to look at that date. I mean, it certainly suits, TV and free-to-air coverage and stuff like that, but maybe from a participant point of view, if we brought it back to the week before Christmas, it might fit in a little bit better. If you're wrapping up, if you're going to have the end of your racing season, at the end of the calendar year now, maybe you sort of had those finals just before Christmas, and then your last week sort of eases off a little bit and gives the participants a bit of that break over the Christmas time and leading into the new year. And having spoken to a few guys as well, a lot of the stables that had good quality stock have essentially put them in the paddock now, and we've sort of seen a decline in the number of horses that are running around at the races and the cup races that we've got on over this period. So it's really, I know it's a really challenging situation, and there's a lot of different angles that need to be looked at, but it's certainly something that we want to get it right. And I've come up with different concepts over the last few shows, and I continue to get different ideas from different people. So it's clearly something that needs, a lot of stakeholders need to sit around the table and work out the best way to manage this new calendar that has sort of come upon us after COVID. And we want to make sure that we get it right for everyone that's involved. And that's, trainers and drivers and clubs and, breeders, owners, all that sort of stuff. It's probably going to prove a bit more trickier than we could have probably thought.
You're right, Topes.
If I've spoken to 50 people about the finals and the lead up to it of participants, all 50 would agree with Daniel. Personally, it doesn't affect me. I'm not getting up in the morning training horses on Christmas Day or Boxing Day. I'm not going to the trots here, there and everywhere. I don't have that issue, so it doesn't worry me so much. But the 50-odd or so people that I've spoken to about it all agree with Daniel 100%. And New Year's Eve gets a good crowd anyway, Paul.
That's what I was going to say.
Like they've always told us at Yarra Valley, you don't need to run good races Melbourne Cup Day. You get 5,000 to 10,000 there anyway. So why are we running good races when at Melton? Perhaps we can run a metro meeting there. Perhaps we run the trotters on that night and we run the paces before Christmas or something. But I know the participants aren't really raptured, not so much with New Year's Eve, but more that week before Christmas when they've got the heats and semis and the whole world's going on for them, and it must be tough at that time of the year.
Effectively, New Year's Eve is over because once you get up New Year's Eve morning, you got those horses there racing, so you're really just getting them ready, loading them on a float and going to the races. You might jog them or whatever, but all the hard work's done by that stage. It's like you guys both said, leading up to it before Christmas. I agree with you, Tobes. I think they could put anything on New Year's Eve night myself. They could have these, the Mercury 80, or they could have a heap of standing start paces races. Try something different, but they could definitely use it as a trial thing. Yeah,
you said the S word, Paul.
I'm all good with it. I'll tell you one other thing that a lot of participants may not know, and Tobes, you'll know this because I've dealt with Graham Johansson and a lot of the guys at Elmore Harness Racing Club, Daniel. You pay double time for your toilets and everything else like that and your barriers when you have them over that Christmas break. So because basically, so the participants might not be aware, but you can't get anything Christmas Eve, so you've got to have it like on the 23rd, and then you've got to take it back on the 27th, and you've got to pay for these 4 days for 1 day's hiring. So there are a lot of other hidden little costs that people aren't aware of. Yes, mate.
That's right.
Breaking news, Paul. Frozen, the movie, has finished in the bedroom, and the kids are looking for something to do.
You going to start singing? I'm not going to sing it. I'm not going to sing it. It's done.
He can rehearse his play.
Been done. No, I think I tend to agree with Tobes.
Should I run through it again?
Hey?
Should we run through it again?
No. I do agree, and I think Yarra Glen is the greatest example ever because the crowds they get there to Oaks Day and to Cup Day are just sensational. Oh, God. It's too easy. You know that, don't you, Tobes? Just so you're aware, Tobes, no one can actually see what you've got because I put the lookalike of you up, so it's all good. It's one-upmanship this way. So. I'll give him his 5 minutes. Give him his 5 minutes of fame. My topic is a little bit self-indulgent, if you like. I went to Ballarat Cup night, the barrier draw the other night. Great night, great way of selling our industry. Anyone wants to try and do something a little bit differently with their clubs and the rest, you can even have these two peanuts there as well if you wanted to. I'm able to do that with Campbell's Comments. Stream it live to a Facebook page and do something different. I think well done to Ballarat. The Media Tech boys were there and they done a great job. Good luck to them. They did a terrific job. But don't be scared to think outside the square in these new changing times, that if any of the clubs want to try and do it a little bit differently, I think we're more than capable of doing different sort of stuff. Yes, Tobes, I haven't finished, but I'll let you go ahead.
So you could set up at a club similar to this. You are at home. You could have the 12 owners of each horse on a Zoom meeting, and they could then effectively Zoom in and choose their barrier or choose the cup off the table or the trophy off the table or whatever and have it and live stream the thing out through the club's Facebook page, for example, Paul.
Yep. Very well done, Tobes. I'm going to throw to you more often. I was worried where you were going to go with that. No, definitely. You told me if I said it, you'd give me 100. Or was it 520? I can't remember. And just while we're on Ballarat and giving a couple of shout-outs, I want to give a big shout-out. Aaron Dunn. Tobes, you missed him again. He went to Mildura again for one drive the other night, and he got the chockies again. But himself and Steve Black are getting a double. Tobes, you got no audio all of a sudden, mate?
No, yes, I do.
Yeah. Okay. Himself and Steve Blacker last night at Ballarat. Well done to them both. Very trying week for Steve Blacker, who lost a good mate of his in a tragic accident. Well done to them both. I know Steve was a little bit unnerved. Anyone's not sure, Steve's actually responsible for this. Just get it back up there just for something different. Tobes can't see what I'm doing. It's very, very good, but it's all good.
Aaron and I, in a word, we are done.
What? Oh. God. And Steve, well done to Steve and Cleve, but just as well done is to that fiery redhead, because if I mention her name in that way, Tara Youngson, I'm sure she would have been cheering and nearly in tears with about 100 to go with delightful me. What, you're not going to dob on me, Tobes? You won't bring this one up either, but I think it was a great night. It was a great night at Ballarat Racing and all the rest, but I think there was some really, really good stories. And Tobes, the mayor, we talked about Elmore, the mayor of Elmore, and you never mentioned his name, getting a winner at Bendigo as well.
Matty Higgins?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's always training a winner every 3 or 4 weeks, Matty. He's a terrific bloke, does a wonderful job, Paul, and he's an excellent breaker. If anyone's looking for someone to break a horse in, he does a terrific job.
Does indeed.
Underrated horse.
No, he is, and he's an underrated trainer too. Don't worry about that. The horses go good, and him and Chris Alford have got a really good strike rate as well going. They seem to combine quite a lot. Now, Random is the king of this show, or the name of this show. we better go this way first. Topes, Barrastock winner, mate. We'll go with yours first. We've actually got 2 Barrastock winners, but...
Davey with a Barrastock winner.
Woodlands winner is where I was going. I had the thing on the right button. I just said the wrong number. So the Woodlands winner, and we've actually got 2 of them this week. But this one you found, mate, this was a ripping little run, wasn't it?
Oh, it's a terrific. Sue Rainbow's the name of the horse. Paul, very well named horse by American Ideal out of a mare called Rainbow Sue. Sue being the American reference. As a 2-year-old, had the 3 runs, just was learning, for a first, second and third. It ran second first up the other night at Penrith, and then it settled 4 back the market pegs in the JL Race Memorial, a feature 3-year-old fillies race at Tabcorp Park, Menangle. Never looked a chance. It gets out at about the 250, 300 metre mark, and it's probably 15 metres off them, and it never looked like losing, and it did a bit of a McLovin. It knew exactly where the line was and just got there by a short half head in the end, but she just ranged up. She's still a little bit green too, so I think she's got a lot more to come, Sue Rainbow, and this is another one of these American Ideals. It's just going from strength to strength. Five starts for 2 wins, 2 seconds and a third, I think. 152.7 the other night too, Tobes. The interesting part about that run, Tobe, it was $35 in the market. Like, its form's obviously okay. It was $35, but it won like a $4 pop, didn't it? Like, it was driven a little bit lucky, but, geez, it was a good win. Stylish win. Fitzpatrick's would have known how good it was, and they would have known at Penrith it needed to run first up. So, if they haven't got my number, to give me a ring when they've got one like that, just send me a note and I'll drop me a number.
The second Woodlands winner is Prestige Stride. I'm glad I'm not a race caller. Sweet Lou filly out of BJ's Money for Butts, another one for the Butts and the rest. There's 2 reasons I bought this one up, Tobes. It will likely to be heading towards New South Wales for the Oaks are coming up very, very shortly. So it'll be probably going to take on Sue Rainbow very, very shortly up there in the Oaks as well. Plus, it was bred by Woodlands. And also, because I'm doing some work with NZB Standard Breds, go to their website, .co.nz, all the W's. Lot number 295 is a colt called Lockdown Louis. He's a full brother to Prestige Stride. So make sure you go and check that one out online. There'll be a few more things coming forward. Yeah, you can't see your fingers just yet, Tobes. I've still got the slide up. But yes, you're right. Cash for comments. There's no hassles there. But just it was a ripping little win, and it's heading to New South Wales as well. So there'll be a couple of nice Woodlands bred fillies to keep an eye on, that's for sure. Daniel, before we go to your last segment, your Barrastock winner for the week, I just need to... fix this up, Tobes. You're right. You're kidding. Unfortunately, people didn't see that one, but I'm going to let you say this horse's name. How do you pronounce this horse's name, Daniel?
Well, I've gone with Nuratak Prince is the name of the horse. Trialled at Shepparton on Thursday and went very nicely. Ran home a half in a 57.7, won the trial by 40 metres. David and Josh have got the horse now. Jeff Webster did have it. It had one start for him back in August and ran second at Stall in a handy 2-year-old race. It's out of a mare called Nuratak Bella, and that makes it a half to Treasure, who won 11 races, and also to Turn It Up, who won 13 out of 20. It's obviously got some good breeding. And it was I watched the replay of its win its second at Stall. It was a good tough effort there first up, but it showed plenty of sprint there at the trial on Thursday, and looks like a nice 3-year-old. So they'll probably start it somewhere soon, you would imagine, but it looks like it goes all right. So look out for that one in the next few weeks. Absolutely.
Toby, anyone's going to be wondering what was I doing just then with my gestures, because I was actually on camera. The screen is cut a little bit. You've just got to lift your daughter up a little bit higher to get it completely on the screen for me, is what I was doing with my hand gestures. So I just wanted you to be aware that they're not quite in the screen, but that's okay. It's fine. It is fine. Daniel, we threw a challenge at you. We threw a challenge out to some other people as well. But for a cricket team, you've come up with an incredibly random cricket team. I must say it fits in with the On Loose Lines. I've probably come up with the wrong name for this now that I've just said that out loud, but I've called it the Victorian Harness Racing First 11. It should be should actually be the On Loose Lines First 11, I think. So, but anyway, that's okay. We'll run with the...
And there's 12. And there's 12.
There is 12. There is 12. Yeah. So it's we've Lord knows if any of these guys actually play cricket.
I'm pretty confident that one doesn't.
Pretty confident that we'd never get this field, never get this team on a field on a Saturday, because they'd always be at the Trot. So it would have to be a Sunday pub session or something for a 2020 hit. So here's the 11, or the 11 and the 12 man that we've gone for. Opening combination. You've always got to have a good opening combination at the top of the order to get the scoreboard ticking over. And when you think of opening combinations, it's generally with 2-year-olds. And so I've gone for Peter and Karen Manning to open the batting with the 2-year-olds. Hopefully they can drive home a few winners at the start and get a few runs on the board for us. Batting number 3 is always very important. And I thought, well, New Zealand's best batsman is Kane Williamson, and he bats at number 3. So why not put Anthony Butt in at number 3? I'm sure he'd be able to handle the willow and get some runs on the board. He's certainly handling the reins very nicely at the moment, so no reason not to put him at number 3.
Good strike.
Number 4 and 5 is always... yes, very true. Number 4 and 5, you've always got to have a solid combination at 4 and 5. And I thought Greg Sugars and Josh Aiken never get flustered when the pressure's on, and so I thought those two in the middle order would keep the runs ticking over nicely and hopefully would build the innings further. Number 6 is generally your all-rounder, so we've gone for Mick Bellman at number 6. He's a good driver, he's a good trainer, he can do both, and that's what you need your all-rounder to do. So I've put him in at number 6, and hopefully he brings a lot to the table, so he can certainly help out with the ball. I'm getting a maybe from Toby here.
I reckon
number 7.
Christian goes stiff there, very stiff. Christian
he's probably a bit stiff. He
must play for Victoria. He must play for Victoria because he never gets picked if he's a Victorian.
Yeah. Number 7's generally your wicket keeper. Now, I've gone probably outside the square here, but your wicket keeper is the one that's got to talk the most. They've got to be the one that's encouraging the team, really pestering the opposition. And I thought, well, Kate loves to chat when she's on Proc Vision, so she'll love having the gloves on and happy to have a chat behind the stump. So we'll chuck Kate in as the wicket keeper. Yes, Toby.
On that basis, Claire Weston would have been a chance, I would have thought.
Possibly, yes. Number 8, we've gone with Ryan Duffy at number 8. He's getting better and better. He's come up from the second 11.
Better and better. He's even thrown the one-liners in.
Keithy Cochran gets a mention. And he drives for Keithy Cochran.
So he can, I'll throw him the ball and he can certainly whack a few at the tail end. Number 9, batting Noel Bowler. One of the bowlers, I reckon, James Herbertson, is a hard toiler, just does all the hard work and gets the results. If you threw in the ball, he'd bowl you 20 overs all afternoon and just keep coming in and putting the pressure on. Number 10, I put in Emma Stewart. She's the Glenn McGrath of the team. Just comes in and bowls exactly. You know what you're going to get every time she goes to the races. You know what the horses are going to do. So she can come in and bowl the perfect line and length and try and pick off a few wickets. And number 11 is the Nathan Lyon of the side, the GOAT, Chris Alford, obviously the GOAT. He can come and bowl. He does play a bit of cricket, I'm sure, so he can bowl some tweakers there at number 11, and he might even get promoted up the batting order if we need to. So that's the 11. The 12th man, it's probably a bit harsh, I think, as was mentioned before, but Dave Moran's in it as the 12th man, and probably a little bit stiff, but he's got Lochinvar at home, so I don't think he'll be too worried.
You reckon he might be ineligible for a few Saturdays just for racing commitments? Is that what you're trying to say, Daniel?
Yeah, probably. Just probably. Yeah, fair chance.
Who would you have as the scorer, Dan? Who turns up each game and scores it, do you reckon? Well, I've gone off the cuff here, so it's a bit hard, but it has to be someone.
Not
Steve
sure.
Warren.
It'd have to be a good administrator, wouldn't it?
Nah, Steve Warren.
What about Danny Rebel?
Oh, yeah, Danny
Rebel?
Yep. Yeah, very good call. Very good call. Was actually at Bendigo. He was actually at Bendigo the other night. First time for a long time. So, yeah. Good team, Daniel. I'm sure it'll create a little bit of controversy too, and we're more than happy to have that. We're happy for other people. I'm coming to you, Tobes. Happy for other people to get involved, submit their teams, even protest why they may be not involved in a team. I'm sure the Taswegians will be up in arms over a lot of these things at the minute. But, yeah, definitely we want correspondence. We want people to get involved in the rest. Yes, Tobes, you're drawing now, but you also had a one finger up at one stage.
The afternoon tea would be interesting, wouldn't it? You know, Mick Bellman would bring the Tim Tams every time. Karen and Peter would have a big plate of sandwiches. Kate Gath would have like a cake or something that I would have thought. The afternoon tea would be interesting too, Paul.
It would indeed. I will say Chris Alford is a great pick because I've seen him bowling. He has to trundle down to young Sam day in, day out. Josh Duggan's probably a little bit stiff not to get a go because between him and Chris, they just bowl down in the shed all day, every day, I think. So, yes. Yes, Tobes?
Oh, no, I won't go with that one. No, I had one, but I won't go with it. Anyway.
He's thought better of it. That's unusual for Toby McKinnon, that's for sure.
Showing restraint.
Rightio. That's about a wrap. I've got Wedderburn Cup on Sunday for Tom and the crew there at Wedderburn. Tobes, did you happen to see Tom on social media during the week? He's actually been over in South Australia having a holiday, walking along hand in hand and doing all the lovey-dovey stuff. I was pretty impressed to see that on social media, I must say.
No, I haven't seen that, Paul. Normally, he can be a little bit loose on social media too, and he's a bit free to give someone a click as well when he feels like it. So you've got to be just a bit wary with Tom on social media.
This was actually Facebook, not Twitter. This was a little bit lovey-dovey. I was a little bit, I was like, well, something might be going to get married again or something. I'm not sure. Same wife, don't worry about that. But so that's my week. Pretty much done and dusted. Tobes, are you back doing more photos, or the photos are finished?
No, photos are finished, so I'm at Stall tomorrow, so I'll head off out of here soon to head up towards Stall because it's a pretty early start and I'm a fair way from Stall here. Then got Tuesday off, Wednesday's SEN track, Thursday I'm fencing and doing fencing during the day and then Kilmore at night, so I've got a busy few days up ahead.
Very, very good. Stall will be over, but what time is the first at Stall, mate?
Right, it's 11 or something. They've brought it forward.
Yep, that's right, to beat the heat. Daniel, your week? Back to work or?
Enjoying the last week. This will be my third week off, which is good. Having a good spell from work. But off to Bendigo Friday night to call the Greyhounds there, and looking forward to that. And then I'll trials at Shep on Wednesday night this week. So participants, if they're looking to trial, it's not Tuesday because of the Australia Day holiday, and they race on the Friday night. So the only day they had was Wednesday, so trials are on Wednesday this week at Shep. So yeah, off to Bendigo Friday night, and then a bit of cricket Saturday, and back to actually having a bit of an operation on my knee on Monday. So that'll be fun, I think.
Looks like we're recording Sunday night, Tobes. Either that or we do it from his hospital bed. We might go on location, Tobes, and do it from...
Only day procedure, so I'll be in and out.
Even better. You can imagine if we rock up with the cameras, it'll be a bit of fun. What could go wrong?
No.
Make sure you say hello to Troy Harley once you rock up to Bendigo too. They've got a lot going on.
Shall do.
I think Campbell's comments be doing plenty in March, so there's plenty going on there. Right, boys, this has been On Loose Lines for another week. Thank you very much for your time. It's been a warm one. Well done to the kids, Tobes. They've done a good job, especially when what's that show? Frozen finishes. I mean, so yeah, it's one of those things. But everyone stay cool. It's been a lot of fun. Thanks, guys. Thank you very much. See you next week.
Bye-bye.